Section 7 of Ads and Sales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Logan Lorenz. Ads and Sales, a study of advertising and selling from the standpoint of the new principles of scientific management, by Herbert Newton Casson. Chapter 7. The Principles of Efficiency Applied to Advertising. The oftener and the more strongly any process takes place in a living organism, the more easily it can be repeated. There you have in a sentence the scientific basis of advertising. This is the law of advertising, and it is also the law that underlies all conscious life. It applies to all living things, from oysters up to men. Standing on this law, I venture to say that the aim of advertising is to so interest and train the public that it will automatically buy your goods. The object of the advertiser is to teach the buying public a new habit. Now, a habit is formed by something that you have seen 1. Recently, 2. Vividly, and 3. Often. If I have seen an advertisement of Brown's safety razor this morning, if I have on several occasions seen striking advertisements of this razor, and if I have often seen the name of this razor in various places, I will naturally say to the clerk today, if I wish to buy a razor, "Show me a Brown safety razor." I ask for that razor automatically. It is the subconscious brain that asks for it. I have seen it referred to so often, so effectively, and so recently, that I do not think of any other kind of razor. I ask for Brown's without any effort of will or effort of thought. The constant and vivid repetition of Brown and razor have welded the two into one idea, so that the razor pigeonhole in my brain is labeled Brown. The greater part of human life is composed of habit. Our acts of will and acts of deliberation are few and far between. Thus, the aim of the far-seeing advertiser is to make the public buy his goods not from choice, but from habit. And it is right here that we find the common ground upon which both advertising and scientific management stand. As F.W. Taylor has said, the really great problem of efficiency consists in effecting a complete revolution in the mental attitude and habits of the workmen and the managers. Whether you are trying to sell goods or to rightly organize a factory, your aim is exactly the same: to create a new habit of thought. This is the end of efficient advertising, and the beginning, therefore, is to make unconcerned people take notice. We are not now speaking of that primitive and simple form of advertising that is found in trade papers, and which consists in a bare technical announcement or description. These homespun advertisements serve their purpose. They keep a manufacturer in touch with his own trade, but they are not to be confounded with real professional advertisements designed for the outside public. To make unconcerned people take notice, this is one of the main designs of every true advertisement. This is a simple enough doctrine, yet there are dozens of advertisements in our popular magazines that violate it with the utmost indifference. Scarcely any blunder is as common as this, the displaying of trade paper advertisements in popular publications. Invariably, when a man writes his own advertisements, he writes them to please his wife, his partners, his employees, and his present customers. He has no regard for the outside public. He cannot get out of his local rut, and so he fishes to catch the fishes that are already caught. There is a well-known definition of salesmanship that describes it as the power to persuade people to purchase at a profit. This is not broad enough to suit the new ideas of advertising and sales. We should rather say that salesmanship is the power to persuade unconcerned people to purchase. If a man wants an article, no salesmanship is required to sell it to him. The man who hands out to people what the people want is not a salesman. He is only a retail handler. And so with regard to advertisements, the true ad is the one that brings in the new buyer, the indifferent buyer, the buyer who did not clearly know what he wanted until he saw the advertisement. Advertising is still so young and immature an art that many men believe they can write their own advertisements. So they can. So could men make their own boots and their own clothes before factories and sewing machines were invented. So, once upon a time, they could build their own houses and raise their own cattle and grind their own flour. But that was long ago. There have come since then professional ways of doing these things, which have proved to be so much better that the every man for himself method has been abandoned. In this attempt, therefore, to apply the principles of efficiency to advertising, it may be understood at the start that I am referring only to professional advertisements. I do not know of any short and easy way to make the handmade, homespun advertisement efficient. Advertising cannot be taught while you wait, and if efficiency can touch the art of advertising at any point, it must be at that point where it is most highly developed. This book, anyway, is not for amateurs. Our problem, then, is this. What is the most efficient way to make unconcerned people take notice of your goods, and continue to take notice until they buy them automatically? The first step in all cases is to study the article itself. How is it made? What are its raw materials? In what ways is it different and exceptional? How did it originate? What tests of it have been made? What are all the facts about it? Is it mentioned in literature? Is it pictured in any famous painting? Is it identified with any historic event? I have never yet come upon any article or commodity that did not have a story. Find this story, and you will likely have the best advertisement of all. As Sarah Cruz says in Mrs. Burnett's fascinating book, everything is a story. Everything in this world. You are a story. I am a story. We are all stories. The very oldest way of making a commodity interesting to buyers was the Oriental way of telling a romantic story about it. This method is far from being abandoned, as you will find, if you step into an Armenian rug store. It is an ancient time-tried method, and it can be used with truth as well as with fairy tales. Does not the most common thing become valuable the moment that it becomes historic? Do we not go to see the most uninteresting places because of the story that is connected with them? We go to Europe and Asia not because the scenery there is better than our own, but because in older countries every spot has its story. Whenever we see a log cabin, it is more interesting to us because of the story of Lincoln. Whenever we see a steamship, it is more interesting because of the story of Fulton. We grown-up people are no more at heart than boys and girls, and there is nothing else that can charm us as a story can. All the magazines that our advertisements are printed in are kept up by their stories. It is the story that people pay for, not the advertisement. It is the story that gives interest and personality always and everywhere, and the story of a commodity must be the soul of its advertisements. Then, having ransacked factories and libraries for all the data concerning our commodity, we turn towards the public and proceed to make a second investigation. First of all, we ask, will the public take this commodity as a necessity or as a fad? This is important to know. The whole sales campaign may depend upon it. Much money would have been saved by the manufacturers of bicycles and roller skates, for instance, if this question had been considered before the sale began. In the best way possible, we must get at the public's point of view in regard to this commodity. We must get answers to such questions as these. What does the public think at the present time about this commodity? Has it any prejudice? Has it ever been fooled by any commodity that is similar to this? Is there any other article which the public imagines is just as good? What will this commodity displace? Who will buy it, men or women? How many probable customers are there in the United States? Where do these customers live? What papers and magazines do they read? This information, when we get it, cannot by its very nature be complete. No one can offhand run out and interview the public, but a small amount of reliable information on this subject is vastly better than a guess. In various ways we may get straw votes concerning our commodity. We can ask the boy in the elevator, the streetcar conductor, the stenographer, the preacher, the banker, the maid, the city editor. Samples of our commodity can be tried out not by our own experts, but by ordinary outside people who have no sort of interest in it. And in the third place, after we have studied the commodity and its possible buyers, we must look into the present trade conditions. Is the trend up or down? What are the newspapers talking about? What is the state of the public mind? Are people in the right mood to listen to us? Is there any legitimate way in which we can swing our commodity out into the prevailing current of thought? When we have these three assortments of facts, we can then begin to think for the first time about our advertisements. What we have on hand is raw material. It must not be used in its raw state. It must be shaped and polished so that it will be attractive and convincing. The bare fact is not enough. There must be some skill and taste used in its presentation. We must prepare an appropriate setting for our facts. End of section 7.